I might be alone in this room on this one, but greens powders, they are not gonna fix your bloat. Like all the influencers saying that they drink a ton of greens to get rid of their bloat makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So what should I do if I can't do greens powders?
Eat the vegetable.
Oh, bo, 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 bo.
Or the fruit.
Welcome to the coachemup podcast. I'm Tim Riley. I'm joined here with Zack Zillner.
Welcome to the party, everybody.
And we are blessed, fortunate to have Lauren. And before I butcher the last name, we were talking off air. It's still ZAMBITO.
It's still ZAMBITO.
You were recently married.
I was recently married.
The last name changes. You guys are, it's up for debate.
The agreement was that I'm changing my name.
The original agreement was the name.
I'm just taking my time. I'm a little attached.
Well,
It's
to
the Z last
ZAMBITO.
name. Z last names are cool.
they are
Last
saying,
names are
first of all,
cool.
ZAMBITO is a fucking sick last name,
Thank
dude.
you.
That's a bad, like, did anyone just call you ZAMBITO
Yes,
growing up?
everyone. And I've made everyone aware that when the name gets changed, I still go by ZAMBITO.
So
I agree. It's never gonna go.
legally, it will be Pollard. But to be clear,
Yes.
ZAMBITO.
Big Z.
That is
Any nicknames like that, like Z or Big Z or
There's nicknames that I won't share. And then, of course, I've always gotten that it sounds like a Zamboni, like the thing that cleans the ice.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I did
Zambezi.
think that. Zambezi.
That's,
call-
I always saw
That's,
you.
oh, wait, I was like, that's what you call
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Zambezi is the best one.
Yeah.
That's you?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I
it
think
is.
you
Fuck
might.
yeah.
You might be the only person that
I
calls.
always see him go, "Zambezi." She's like, hey, Zach.
The best part, she says, actually, you're the only person who calls me that.
I'm just realizing. I'm just like, where did I get that from? I think it's just you.
It's
Yeah.
actually only Zach that calls her Zambezi. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's even better. But seriously though, like the process to change it legally it's brutal, right?
It's a pain. And I like to travel. So I keep being like, after this trip, I'll change it. After this trip, I'll change it.
The passport issue.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bank account.
Cards, bank accounts.
Yeah. Any account.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram can stay.
Yeah. You have a sweet
Email.
Instagram handle too. Like the Instagram handle flows. Not everyone has a good Instagram handle.
Thanks.
I'm judgmental about
You
that
are.
sort of thing.
You are.
I am.
You are.
I am. All right. So Lauren, currently ZAMBITO, potentially Pollard. At some point, we know who you are. Okay. Maybe not everyone listening does. So
They probably don't.
They're about to. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the space that you're in currently, and what the process has looked like?
Yes. So I lived in Austin. I've lived in Austin for like 17 years now. I'm from New Orleans originally. I went to the University of Texas, got a biology degree there. I didn't really know what route I was going to go with that. I just knew that I was obsessed and fascinated with the human body, which led me to eventually decide that in order to try to solve my own problems, I was going to become a certified health coach, mostly to just figure my stuff out. And then I was like, if I could figure my stuff out, maybe I can help other people. But that was actually not even the original goal. I just did it to learn more about how to like fix my
You wanted to get
my
better.
own health issues. Yeah.
God, it's so relatable. I went through a very similar period where Western medicine was not helpful. And I was having horrible gut health issues. I'd just gotten sober. I'd trashed my body for a long time. I mean,
Pedal to the metal.
yeah, big time. That's a separate pod. And I couldn't find answers. And I was kind of like at the end of my rope. And at the time, emergent in popularity was this functional medicine space. And it was all very new. And I think like the only podcast I could find at the time, or only two, was like Dr. Michael Ruscio. And then it was like Ben Greenfield. And like, that was it.
That's not a bad start.
No, it's not, right?
Yeah. I thought you were going to say something much worse.
And anyway, long story short, I ended up having a parasite. I had H. pylori. The only way I figured that out was from going the functional medicine route. And then full circle moment for me was like, I had to come back to the Western, and then I tried to treat it with like herbal stuff. Did not work. Absolutely had to. And by the way, everyone listening, you might have a parasite. Did you know?
Don't get a parasite cleanse on Amazon, please.
Don't do that.
Please.
Half of the human population, that's right, folks, 1/2 of the human population has Helicobacter pylori, and it's the leading cause of esophageal cancer. You're welcome. Enjoy your commute to work.
I didn't know Tim had all this knowledge on.
Well, listen.
I didn't know that about esophageal cancer, actually.
Yeah, any leading cause of esophageal cancer and stomach cancer. H.
Stomach
pylori.
cancer makes sense. It all makes sense, actually, when you say it.
And so the process to eliminate this fucking parasite is nightmarish as well. You have to take 4 separate antibiotics 4 times a day, 16 pills a day for 3 weeks in a row. And the first round I took didn't work.
And you're destroying your gut health all over.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I'm realizing this podcast is about me now. But anyway, I share all this to say that as you were speaking, I was like, oh my God, I totally resonate with just like a lot of the things I've learned about, even as a strength coach, have not necessarily been, and I'm being just completely honest here, because I wanted to help someone else. It's because I wanted to find out. I needed to find out for me.
Yeah.
So can I like dig a little bit? Like what's your
My
fucking
issues?
problem, man? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what's your deal?
Yeah. So you touched on a lot of really important things that resonated kind of with my journey too, like being a little disappointed with Western medicine, going to functional medicine, and then finding something in the middle. And I know I'm diverting here, but the functional medicine route, like everyone's jumped on it. And just like there's good and bad traditional doctors, there's good and bad functional medicine doctors.
Preach.
And they're taking advantage of people because most of them or all of them don't take insurance. So I have a lot of people now coming to me saying, well, I went to a functional doctor to try to fix all my problems. And they told me to take 70 supplements and they're charging me thousands of dollars a month. And so you got to find the balance in the middle. But I digress. I had gut issues as well. And I went to a doctor and they told me I had a colonoscopy when I was 21 years old and stool samples and all this very humbling experience.
Yeah.
At that age,
Not
especially.
fun. Yeah.
And
Poop in this cardboard box, please.
and use a spoon to get it in there. I'm like, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So inconclusive. So they told me I had severe IBS and they put me on a low dose of an antidepressant, which is like a classic quote unquote treatment. Right. But of course, this is just like a Band-Aid. They never talked to me about diet. They never explored any other options. They never talked about what could possibly be causing it. They just said you need to like calm down your system, basically. So that was one thing. 2, I feel like I didn't have the greatest body image and I just didn't love my body. I wanted a different body, but I wanted to learn how to reach my goals as far as like aesthetics speaking. Yeah. And I was just doing it all the wrong ways because I was very confused. And then mix in like diet culture as a female. I mean, maybe male too, I don't know. But as a female, it was like, just eat the least amount possible and do a bunch of cardio.
100%.
And that was not working for me. So, yeah. And anxiety. Got to add that in.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
And sleep issues. So,
dude, we're the same person. Zambezi, let's go.
Yeah, we'll just give you a pill. You'll be all right. See you in 6 weeks.
This podcast is going to be sick.
Spoiler alert, everything was all connected.
So, okay. And so a couple things that you said there that I think are important was like, you touched on the functional medicine space, and then like on a broader scale, the quote unquote wellness industry. And just like anything else, there's a lot of people who are earnestly trying to make a difference, and they're practical and they make, well-informed decisions that are trustworthy. And then there are people who are not. And I got caught up in part of that, in the carnage of that, because here's the interesting part is like people are willing to step outside of the norm because in large part they're suffering, or because they, like you, went a traditional route and were kind of discarded. And I think a lot of the issues with that are it's about treating symptoms and not finding solutions. Right. But to that end, I'm interested to know how you started finding solutions and what that process of healing and recovery looked like for you. And what was like, was there a moment or was there a find or... Okay, so it was just brutal, feeling your way through the dark.
Toughness.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Like, I think that's what everyone's looking for, even if they, like, whether they go the traditional or the functional route, ultimately, people still want a really simple answer, a straightforward answer, something they can do, the magic thing, like the quick fix. And it's just, there is unfortunately no shortcut, and it can be really complicated. And even person to person, like what works for somebody might not work for somebody else. And so despite becoming a health coach, I became very knowledgeable. It helped me in regards to like understanding what real nutrition was. It helped me understand the connectedness of all of our areas of health, improve my sleep. So like I definitely was seeing overall improvements.
Right.
But the gut health and all of that, like I also didn't even talk about hormone stuff that I didn't discover till later. But that took a really long time to resolve because I took a lot of wrong turns.
Yeah.
So there was not one thing. I did see his functional doctor eventually. I love my functional doctor. I will not share her name right now.
She's mine.
You're going to gatekeep a little bit?
No, I give her name to so many people, but I just don't feel that right now maybe is the good time for that. I don't know. She helped me a lot, but I think it was just like taking a little of this and that from everywhere, like using a lot of common sense and not, I think I was focusing so much on like, well, this person did this and that helped them. So let me try that. Okay, that didn't work. So now I'm going to try this. I'm going to remove gluten. I'm going to remove dairy. I'm going to be a vegan. Like I literally tried every dietary restriction. That's not, let me tell everybody, that is not most likely not going to be your solution. If you're removing a food and it's helping you, that's great, but you probably still have something else going on. So it's not a straight road, unfortunately.
So you just brought it. So like when I was first having gut health issues, it was just like, here's a FODMAP diet.
Yes, that's a really common starting point, and that helped me too.
Yeah.
But it's for managing symptoms. It's still kind of a symptom manager rather than an actual solution.
When it comes to, and I feel like I would imagine that most people listening or watching have at some point struggled with gut health, or at the very least, someone close to them is currently struggling with gut health. Lord knows I have. What are some common manifestations? And and I know there's no one size fit all. So it's a loaded question, but what are some common solutions to those common manifestations?
Yeah. So common manifestations of like what gut health issues look like, you mean? Yeah. This could be, most women relate to bloat. I don't know why men say, like, men don't ever complain about bloat, I feel like.
We just think we're full.
That's the answer that I've got.
I'm not bloated, I'm just full.
Yeah. I don't know. Women are more like, whatever, they're more susceptible to bloat. But it could look like constipation, diarrhea, obviously, gas, your stomach hurts when you eat certain foods, you can't figure out why. And then the piece that I think is missing for a lot of people is the mental side and how connected our gut health is to our mental health. So like it is a normal response, but like if you have anxiety about something and you notice that impacts your gut health, people focus on the gut health rather than like
the anxiety.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I can just not eat like bread or whatever, but like going to a therapist is like, that's scary, first of all, and expensive. Did you know that?
Yeah. I've done it. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah. I've done it all.
Yeah. So and also too, finish your thought entirely.
So I would say some general pieces of advice is focus on the mental health. And I know that's so much easier said than done. So like some tangible things. We eat in a rushed state a lot, in a stressful state, in an emotional state. Like we use food to comfort us when we're stressed or anxious or sad or whatever. So being mindful of that and doing your best to eat in not an emotional state and not in a stress state, slowing down, and then eating undistracted. All of that is going to help bring the cortisol down and get you into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is, you hear fight or flight and then rest and digest. So if you're eating in fight or flight, you're not able to digest your food and even assimilate the nutrients properly. So you want to be in that rest and digest state so that obviously you can digest your food. I think that's such simple advice, but it is very overlooked. Like we're on our phones or we're eating and driving or like whatever.
I was literally eating steak with my bare hands on the way over here. I'm not kidding. Can I give you a hypothetical?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a man. He's in his mid-30s. He may or may not have a mustache, sweats even when he ties his shoes. He's very stressed, overworked, and eats on the run constantly. Mm-hmm. Where might you tell him to start in terms of stress management in an effort to take full advantage of those meals and move into a more relaxed state?
So there's a lot to take in here. I wonder
Good
who
hypothetical.
I wonder who we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the same scenario, but if the guy's bald, if that changes
Got it.
anything.
If that changes anything. Yeah. Okay. So the things that I mentioned.
Help us.
Okay. The things that I mentioned, like eating undistracted. I know it can be hard, but doing your best to do that. If you can't eat undistracted, at least like it seems really silly, but taking a few breaths, because I'll also notice like sometimes I'm holding my breath a little bit when I eat. So taking a few breaths is going to give a similar effect if you are on the go and you must eat. You're not going to want to hear me say this, but prepping food, people don't want to do it. I have, by the way, have tons of meal preps on my Instagram and my website. Not trying to make a plug, but like I had to do it for myself for the same reasons that you're describing. I was eating while I was getting ready. I was like rushing out the door and just grabbing a bar that like wasn't gonna keep me full for very long, and then starving, not intentionally, but being starving throughout the day because I was too busy, and then coming home ravenous and just like eating some snacks because I like had to get my hands on something.
Right.
So prepping food is super helpful for that. And then what else were you saying that
What about the
you're struggling
time?
with?
You should do this sometime. So I was talking to one of our nutritionists because I was like, I need to lose some weight. What do you think? And she had a helpful hint. She was like, for dinner, set an alarm for 20 minutes. And you should take 20 minutes to eat
your food. Yeah.
And she was like, try it
won't
tonight,
eat
just
as
timing
much.
it. I ate my dinner in like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. Slowing,
I looked, I was like,
down.
oh my, like time yourself. You're like a dog.
No, I know, bro. You know what I should have? You know those dog bowls that have like the lines in them
that's what you
that
should
like
have.
control how fast the dog eats?
Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah.
Like I eat like if you watched me
Try
eat,
the
you'd be
20-minute
like,
thing.
this man he's been starved his whole life.
Yeah.
You would think, you know,
And
honestly.
men eat faster than women.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't also know why that is, but that's very true. Yeah. Chewing your food. Chew your food.
I
put
have
your
a
fork
belly
down.
full of steak.
Putting your fork down instead
In
of like
between
constantly
bites.
holding it.
Damn.
And finishing your bite. Like because I watch like my husband eat. Sorry, Alex. But like he's like grabbing the next bite and shoving it in before the first one's down. Like
Eating's fun, man. It is
Eating's the
exciting.
best.
It is so
Dude,
fun.
shout out food everywhere, dude. Let's freaking go.
these are like such simple things. So people might be like, this is so dumb. But like start to like the other person, I forgot who you said it was, sorry, gave you the tip. Just pay attention to it and like notice what you're currently doing. You will catch yourself holding your breath. You will catch yourself on your phone. You will catch yourself rushing. You will catch yourself in a stressed state. So I would literally just start there. But I love that you were actually holding, like eating just like a steak rather than like something else processed or like fast food or whatever. So if you are going to be rushing and all that stuff, take your deep breaths and hopefully you're eating something that's in its like most whole food form that's a little easier to digest than some packaged processed whatever.
Selfishly, speaking of meal prep, she has some really good recipes. I've tried some of the stuff. It's good. What are some helpful hints for people on the go of like, how do I go to the store, making the list, throwing it all together? Because it seems a lot like pretty overwhelming.
It does.
Yeah, it does. And I'm like, I'm very busy as well. So when people say they're busy, I'm like, everyone is. Sorry.
Right,
Like
yeah.
tough love, but everyone is. So you just have to make it a priority. But some tips that I would say, once you get into the routine of doing it, you get faster and faster at doing it every week. Like it just becomes a habit. So you kind of know what you're doing. But I like to pick 2 recipes that I make all the time that you do not have to think about. And if you still are like thinking, I don't even know what that would be for me, protein, fat, fiber, or I used to call it PSV, which is protein, starch, vegetable, but protein, fat, fiber, whatever. So this would be like whatever, steak, potatoes, whatever vegetable you want, or chicken, fish, vegetable, and a carb. That's an easy formula. So I do 2 easy recipes like that. And then personally, I like to find one from somewhere else to try, like just to keep stuff fresh. And then if I'm making a 4th one, the rule is it has to be done on 1 sheet pan or 1 pot or 1 pan, because it's like one of those things where you just throw everything together, which I have a lot of those as well if anybody needs them. So pick the meals, then make your list of everything you need from there. And then of course there's the staples of like eggs, yogurt, fruit that you can have for breakfast. And I order my groceries. I used to go to the store. Yeah. I just order them now, like the delivery fee, whatever you save. I swear to God, you save money by not going.
Oh, for sure.
I've tested it both ways. You save money even with the delivery fee and the tip.
All the dumb stuff you buy when you're just there.
Yeah. And when you're on your phone, like looking at the list and putting it there, you're getting exactly what you need, and then you're done. Like you got to search for the items. So that's it. And then it arrives at your door, and then you have all your stuff and you have the meals planned. So like you're not every night like, let me look in my fridge or my pantry and figure out what the heck I'm doing.
Right. So you're saying you need a plan.
You do need a plan, but it really doesn't. I've timed myself doing this. It does not take long. It's maybe 5-10 minutes at the most to come up with the meals, 5 to 10 minutes to do the list. And I don't know. Yeah. 10 minutes to do the searching on the whatever grocery app. So 30 minutes. Maybe. Yeah. The Heeb app. Yeah.
Heeb app.
So much about my experience with, because ultimately too, what we're talking about is behavior change, right? Like, I guess
nobody likes that. Well,
no one. Yeah. Right. And then, even like for you and me in our personal journeys of trying to get well, like it didn't become, these things don't come priorities for me unless I either, have to feel the intense pain of not taking action, or the intense pain of like, what it would look like if I didn't, you know what I mean? Like it's one or the other. And, and Zach, I'm sure you can relate to this too. So much about when I get a new client, a new athlete, and I ask them, hey, what are you eating from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed? Take me through a typical day. Almost always in the athletic space, it's an under-eating thing. And then when they are eating, it's what you kind of perfectly described. So it's like not really hungry for breakfast, maybe eat something, almost always like, only carbs. Maybe some fats mixed in with the carbs, but like not enough protein. And then super busy throughout the day. Then they hit this wall. They're like, fuck it. Chick-fil-A, everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. Zaxby's, run that. You know what I mean? And then you're like, you do the thing where you go home and then you're on your phone because you're tired and you're exhausted and you just got pummeled by whatever you just ate. And then a couple hours go by and you're like, okay, I'll eat some chips, and then you go to bed. Right?
Yeah.
If I just described 90% of your clients and athletes, you're welcome. How does the conversation look when you have that person in front of you and they're like, hey, I want to make changes here. I know, because here's the thing too. And for everyone who's been listening to this podcast a long time, I'm going to apologize now. I say this shit all the time. I feel like knowledge isn't power. I feel like it's like the tip of the iceberg. Like it's step one. The action is where the power is.
That's very true.
That's where the magic happens, baby. Everybody knows, air quotes, what they're supposed to do.
That's true.
But what do those conversations look like? Because you have them all the time.
Yeah. And this is the toughest part of, I think, all of our jobs as coaches is people want to do it and they say, I actually make them rate their readiness to change, and everyone that comes to me says they're a 9 or a 10.
But they can't make breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but like you've got, like, I can do so much, but it's like the paralysis that comes on from like, you've taken in all the information, all the tips. If you just sat back and thought with common sense, you could probably make a lot of changes for yourself without even using a professional, yet you're not doing it. So there's a few things. putting systems in place, which I try to help people do, finding the most problematic part of the day, because people want to make a really small, easy changes, but I would advise on making 1 or 2 more difficult changes that give greater impact. Because when you make the small changes and you don't notice an impact, you're not getting positive reinforcement. You're not getting that little dopamine boost, like I'm doing the right thing. And we all know that results take a long time to see. So you're definitely not seeing those.
Right.
If you make bigger, more difficult changes that have a bigger impact, then it's going to feed that positive reinforcement to keep going. So I try to start there. And then the third route that I would go is focusing on your day in chunks and only focusing on mastering the first third of the day rather than trying to like overhaul everything at once. So those are kind of the different paths that I go with people.
So do you just start with their morning?
Yeah, starting with the morning. Or if they tell me that sleep is their priority, then maybe I'll start with their night. But typically it's, if we're talking like diet, nutrition and stuff, it's the morning. Yeah, starting with the morning. What are you walk me through your day. I do the same thing. When are you waking up? Are you having coffee the second you wake up? What are you putting in the coffee? Every detail. Are you drinking water? And then what are you having for breakfast and when?
The coachemup podcast has partnered with Eleiko.
Let's go.
Not only is Eleiko found in 85% of Power 5 schools, but they also offer at-home solutions from racks, flooring, rigs, barbells, bumper plates, your favorite accessories like straps and weightlifting belts, you name it, Eleiko's got you covered. Go to eleiko.com/coachemup and get access to the same equipment that they're using in the best facilities with the best athletes on the planet.
The coachemup podcast is sponsored by Squat Wedgies. Tim, what are Squat Wedgies?
Squat Wedgies are an adjustable squat wedge, 7, 13, and 20 degrees.
It's big enough to elevate your whole foot and not just your heel.
Because it's rubber, it doesn't slide on surfaces.
It's 22 pounds, so it's durable and stable enough for even your biggest athletes.
There's a 90-day risk-free trial. The shipping is free, and
get 15% off Squat Wedgies with our discount code coachemup15.
coachemup15 for 15% off of the best squat wedge on the planet. I have another hypothetical for you. Let's say you have someone and
do they have a mustache?
They still have a mustache. Okay. And first thing in the morning, they hit snooze many times, and then they hammer a large coffee, a lot of cream, a lot of sugar. And they're also in a rush because they have to get their daughter to school, and she's not in a rush because she doesn't give a shit. And you're late, and you're also cooking breakfast, and then now the dogs are in the house, and you're stepping on the dogs, and maybe you drop an egg on the floor. I don't know. Maybe this happened 2 days ago. How does that set you up for failure? A morning like that, and what can I do? Like, how can I? Tell me what to do.
Yeah. Okay. This is funny because I did a post like 2 or 3 days ago that was reverse of like what you should do, and it was like how to wreck your how to start your day if you want to wreck your hormones. And it was I mentioned hitting the snooze multiple times, drinking caffeine the second you wake up, rushing out the door, not having anything for breakfast, or having something processed. So you want to know how we switch this up?
Yes.
Okay. Nobody likes to hear this, but this was one of the most impactful things that I've done for hormone health. And if guys are listening and they're like, "Oh, I don't care about my hormones," you should, because that's playing a role in your sex drive, in your sleep, in your ability to build muscle, everything. So it's
if you know what's funny about men, real quick, if you just said it'll impact your testosterone, bam, all of you motherfuckers that were just not paying attention, now you're all listening again.
Testosterone is a hormone.
That's right.
Okay, I'm not talking about like female hormones only. I'm talking
Some of our listeners don't get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So estrogen, testosterone, whatever, all of the key hormones. So delaying your caffeine intake. Okay, I used to drink coffee the second that I woke up as well. So I get it. Delaying it 60 to 90 minutes is the most ideal. And if you're thinking like that's impossible, I can't do that, start with 20 to 30 minutes. And just, I'm a big fan of replacing. So like if you're used to waking up and grabbing the coffee, now you're going to wake up and you're going to just pour yourself a nice glass of water.
Right. Yeah.
Try hydrating first. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's warm lemon water or just a normal glass of water.
Right.
My husband is a big like ice cold water drinker. I hate that, but he's like, that's my cup of coffee. I love it. So whatever it is for you, grab that. So you're hydrating first. You're delaying the caffeine intake, delaying the caffeine. So we have cortisol that naturally rises when we wake up. It's a good, like cortisol gets a bad rap, but it's a good amount of natural.
Hold on, time out. I thought cortisol was the reason I have any problems at all. I thought it was the source of all of my problems.
Is this is a real question, right?
No.
Okay.
no.
A lot of people
because it feels like that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people think that. So I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we need cortisol. It's what makes us feel alert. It helps our brain function. It wakes us up. So let your body do that on its own. Now, when you've been having caffeine the second you wake up for however many years, that's the artificial cortisol. So your body has been trained over time that it's going to get that. So it's not going to do a great job of rising it on your own. The longer you go and you gradually push this caffeine a little bit, your body will get better at doing that, and you will find no desire to need it right when you wake up.
Okay.
I still want mine eventually. I love coffee and I love caffeine.
I'm wildly addicted to caffeine.
But just a little bit of a delay is going to do you favors for the way you feel later, because when you spike both, you spike with caffeine and you're like waking up in the morning later on, it's going to crash. Right.
Yeah.
Rather than that like gradual uptick and natural downfall. So that's number one. And yeah, I don't have kids yet, so I know people are thinking that because you brought up your daughter. So I don't have that variable. This is not a beer belly. I do have a bun in the oven. So y'all can stay tuned. Y'all can stay tuned.
Have the baby
Everyone's
on
like, just wait.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby's on the pod soon.
Yeah. Just wait till you have kids. I'm like, well, okay, we will wait. We will wait and we will see.
We will.
Yeah. But
that was one of the most annoying things about going through the process of preparing to have a child is everyone who felt obligated to let me know how it was going to change my life and me.
We're aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like an irrational anger about it. I can't really explain it, but it made me want to be like, fuck you. I don't know you. We're in a grocery store, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like negative.
Yeah.
Negative energy.
How about the positive thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'm delusional, but we'll see. So protein breakfast. That's step number 2. And if you want to get some sunlight, that'd be fantastic.
That wouldn't hurt for you, Tim.
No. Well, it might. It might hurt literally if I don't apply some sunscreen. But no.
Morning light.
Yeah,
morning
you're
light.
right. Yeah.
But back to the protein for breakfast. Frying up a couple of eggs like literally takes 5 minutes. So if you like, it doesn't need to be complicated. Like throw some eggs in the pan and eat them by themselves. I don't care. If you have time for making it fancy, that's great. But just throw some eggs in the pan. It's not that hard.
I have a method. So that hypothetical athlete / client that I gave you is based on just years of kind of seeing almost that exact presentation with minute variables here and there. But that's tell me what you think about what I do. I've also found that prioritizing breakfast usually makes the most sense. If you can get that big victory day at first thing, it sets you up for success, particularly with athletes. From a protein intake standpoint, like if you don't get that first meal, you're playing catch up the rest of the day.
Yep, that's true.
And certainly when you eat a bigger meal or a more satiating meal first thing in the morning, it sets you up to be hungrier later more frequently as the day goes on. 3 more meals throughout the course of the day. Oftentimes what I'll recommend is whatever the breakfast is, assuming that it's lacking protein, and they're like, but I'm not that hungry. It's like, okay,
I had that problem too.
Whatever it is that you are doing and just replace it and make protein the star of the show. Let that be the star of the show. Consume as much protein. And now I'm speaking specifically for athletes and people who have body composition goals. Make protein the priority. And then once you finish your protein portion, whatever else it is that you want to add into that mix, hopefully it's, berries and things of that nature. Eat it. Eat as much as you want, and hopefully, if they're making healthy choices, I fucking dare you to overeat. protein, and strawberries. I dare you.
You can't.
Yeah, good luck,
Exactly.
dude. Yeah. Because, and then particularly with female athletes, another big hurdle, and you kind of alluded to this with yourself, is the idea of eating more,
Yeah.
bigger portions, and more frequently is fucking scary. You know?
It is.
Can you talk about your experience with that, perhaps personally, and then how you navigate those conversations with clients? Because most of the coaches, trainers, people listening to this work with women, or in Zach's case,
All of them.
Yeah.
all women. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's I don't know why it's so scary, because it's like you could just try it that way, and if everything's falling apart, go back to your other ways, which I don't advise. But yeah, for me, that's what it was. I was like, okay, I'm not getting where I want to be doing it this way. And back to being educated, I just learned that like going that route just wasn't working. It was like in the definition of insanity. I was doing it and not getting where I wanted, and just continuing to try
Doubling down.
force it. Right.
Yeah.
If I run more, until my sister told me that I was literally running my ass off. Like you're trying to
You having a good
grow
system.
your glutes and you're
Right.
running your actual ass off. Yeah. So I quit running immediately. Yeah. Strength training ever since then. So thanks, Rachel. Yeah. Shout out.
Shout out to Rachel.
Yeah. Okay. So there I go with my pregnant brain, losing my train of thought.
Navigating that conversation
yes.
with women.
Yes. So
Or any client for that matter.
yeah, understanding simple concept of like blood sugar balance, very helpful. And then understanding that fuel is going to be what actually gets you the results that you're looking for. And then number 3 is try it for, I would say 30 days and see how you feel and see what types of results you're getting. And if you hate it, yeah, you can go back to doing what you're doing. But I promise you that if you do it for 30 days, you're going to see closer to the results that you're looking for. And for me, I was shocked to find that not only was I more satisfied, I could think more clearly throughout the day. Mm-hmm. I found that eating the more substantial meals left me like I wasn't grazing mindlessly throughout the day. It improved my bloat. It improved my inflammation. I did not gain a single pound by eating more. I don't believe I lost weight either, but it was a body composition change.
Yep.
I noticed that I was able to, I have such a hard time putting on muscle. It's just like my body type. But I noticed that I was going up in weights, like my actual weights, not my body weight. Mm-hmm. And so that was a sign to me like, okay, I never did a scan or anything, but I knew I was getting stronger and I knew it was working. So
I think the
positive
big thing with
reinforcement.
that, if you undereat in the short term, like you will drop weight. But the thing is, when you're under fueling, your workouts and everything, you're going to suffer, and it's not sustainable.
Right.
And so you're just on this
yes.
treadmill of literally a treadmill that's getting you nowhere.
Yeah.
And then there's also very real hormonal impacts as well. And then you kind of get caught in this negative
Yeah, what
feedback.
goes into that when you crash your diet hormone-wise?
Yeah. So as a woman, I did not have a period for like 10 years.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. Well, I was on birth control part of that time,
Okay.
which is a common, again, Band-Aid when women say like they need help with cycle regularity. They're given birth control when it's just covering up their issue. And when they come off of it, they're still going to have cycle irregularity. So that's a huge one that I hear from my audience and my clients, and I went through it myself. So that's the main one. And I ended up having a slew of other hormonal imbalances once I did like hormone testing. And then I was told that I had low ovarian reserve, which is like a low egg count essentially. And I tied it all back to like, I actually had a moment of, I was kind of sad because I felt like I did this to myself. I did this and I don't know if that was the case, but I felt like I wanted to go back in time and tell my younger self, stop trying to eat as little as possible. Stop over exercising. Just fuel yourself. Just be like a generally healthy person. And if you focus more on your health rather than your appearance, you're probably going to actually
Get what you want from an appearance
like,
standpoint.
Right. And then the mental side of it all too, like the stress associated around obsessing over what you're eating and counting your calories and tracking is actually going to make your body hold on to like that stubborn fat a little bit more due to the hormonal changes that cause. So lose.
Yeah. currently it feels like there has been a spotlight shown on processed foods, how they impact your health, how they can potentially impact hormonal health. Just speaking from personal experience, like I know if I eat things that are highly processed, my stomach does not react well. It's not ideal.
I'm glad you're at least in tune with that.
Well,
I feel like most people aren't.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I think because I went to such an extreme place with having that parasite, and what that did to my digestive system, that I'm probably almost hyper aware now, almost to a place where it's actually a bit of a burden. I wish I was less aware, kind of. But because I had to walk through that for so long and it was such a fucking intense experience. I mean, dude, I had a fucking parasite. How crazy is that to say?
That is crazy.
Isn't that a wild thing to say? It's like I have a girlfriend. We've been together a long time. But if I were to ever get a new Hinge profile, I may just
had a parasite.
That's like fun fact. like two truths and a lie. It's like,
or you are the parasite.
oh God, yeah. Shit, I don't even remember what I was saying.
Processed food.
I guess
Processed food.
In my line of work, I'm hearing I have a parasite on like a daily basis, so I'm not phased.
You're numb to it.
Yeah.
Well, now I feel safe.
So you're not special.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yes.
You're not
yes.
special, Tim.
There we
Sorry.
go. What's been your experience with having conversations about eliminating processed food, and how large of an impact does that have on people when they are able to remove the majority of processed food from their diet?
Yeah, so I have people on all ends of the spectrum, like when I make content about this, in my comments saying all sorts of stuff about processed food, and that like there's no science to back these claims about these ingredients, and all these like scientific police
Those people
come out.
are awesome.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Thank you for the engagement.
Yeah.
Or that, oh, you're overcomplicating it, or, whatever. There's all these reasons why there's a group of people that don't think that it has that great of an impact. But I would challenge those people to just, again, try it for 30 days and watch.
Eat only processed food for 30 days.
Try it either way.
If you believe it.
It's a good way.
Right.
You know what?
Yeah.
You're right. I'm so glad you commented this.
That's a better route.
You know what we should do? You should prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Dickhead. Whoever you are in the comment section. Okay? And I want you to eat nothing but processed food for just 30 days and then holler back at me.
Also,
you think they would do it?
Some people are already like halfway there, but they're so used to feeling how they feel that they don't even know until if they were to remove it, and then maybe like add it back in, and then they would instantly feel like
100%.
shit. So now I forgot.
I'm sorry, I got you good there.
I keep blaming pregnancy brain, but maybe I have ADHD too.
Well, I do rub off on people, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you leave the room, it'll get better.
The impact of processed food on health in general / hormones. Yeah, okay, got it. So it depends what level processed food actually comes in levels. And I got so many comments on this too when I started talking about processed food. So of course, everything's processed to a degree. Like I'm not talking about seasonings and condiments and like oil and things that just like make your life a little bit easier. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something in a package that's gone through a heavy refinement process, may have a lot of ingredients, and then third layer to that likely has a lot of really unnatural ingredients like dyes, seed oils, preservatives, additives, you name it. So people may think like, well, what's a little bit of this here and there? But it adds up. So how often are you having those foods? Because you're most likely having them a little more than you think.
Yeah.
And then there's also this thing of like, well, I'm eating all foods with good ingredients. Like they're packaged, but they all have good ingredients.
Yeah. It's a Nature Valley bar. It's good.
Yeah, it says nature on it.
Okay, well, that's a different thing. That's like, it's like kind of looks like maybe it's healthy, but it's not actually.
What is that called? What fallacy is that called?
I wasn't there that day.
Good marketing.
Yeah, I forget that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Keep going.
So I was in the group of like, I was eating some processed foods that have like pretty quote unquote clean ingredients, which like I don't love that term so much, but whatever. But I even found by removing those, I had such a huge impact on like my inflammation, back to like bloat and gut health and all of that. And I could then see my muscle definition a little bit more. I don't know if it helped me actually gain muscle or if it just kind of like reduced that inflammation so I looked better. But even already eating pretty well and removing that for like, it was several weeks leading up to my wedding, the impact was huge. And I was like, I'm never going back.
I think we see that all the time with like in our space of like protein shakes and protein bars.
Yeah.
People look at like a protein bar as a health food.
Right.
But you'd probably be better off eating actual protein.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You would be much better off. But I don't. So this is where I'm kind of careful in understanding all the different opinions that people have on processed food. I'm not saying that you can't have protein powder or you can't have a protein bar, because like of the processed food, that's probably not the worst thing ever.
Totally.
But are you relying on it on your protein source? Are you having it super frequently? And then I would also ask, like, there's definitely a spectrum even within that of like what the ingredients are.
The grade of what they are.
Yeah.
What are some ingredients you should, if you're just a newbie and you're looking at ingredient forms, like what are some things you need to keep an eye out for?
This is such a hot topic right now, but dyes. Everyone got excited because the FDA banned one particular red dye. But if you're eating foods that had the dyes in them, like there's a bunch of other stuff in there that you probably shouldn't be having to. But dyes, be aware, any of them. It's not just red 3 or red 40 or whatever. Any artificial dyes. And then
No more mellow yellow for me.
yeah,
Damn, there you go.
that's one of the worst ones, because there's been actual studies tying it to ADHD, problems focusing, endocrine disruption, which is disrupting your hormone system, and then lots of artificial or high amounts of even real sugar. And then sugar alcohols, a lot of people overlook, but it's a huge disturbance to your gut. And so sugar alcohols are a lot of times the 0 calorie sweeteners and things like that. What else? Yeah, canola oil. It's in everything. It's hard to avoid, but I do think being mindful of how many products you're consuming that have that in it, and is it one of the first couple of ingredients, is important to note.
Yeah, because the order of the ingredients on the list also is
it's by volume.
By volume, yeah.
And then something else to look out for with that is you might see like, oh, well, the sweetener or the sugars are the last ingredient.
It's only a small amount needed.
It is, but yes, but also food companies are very smart about this, and they'll put multiple forms. So they'll put like a brown rice syrup.
Nice.
And they'll put whatever.
Tapioca.
Yeah, the tapioca
I did
syrup.
not know that.
Yes. So it's small amounts, but then you look at like, wait, that's like 3 or 4 different ones. So if we combine that, it's probably making up a larger.
That is very smart.
Yeah.
So I got one for you. Everyone's on their phone, obviously, social media. My feed is inundated with training and nutrition and whatnot. Luckily, I'm super smart. I can decipher this. What do you say to somebody who sees all this and like, meat's bad, vegetables are bad, seed oils are bad, blah, blah, blah. It's too much. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, did you know broccoli can kill you?
And now vegetables are bad. Like,
Vegetables actually are poisonous.
I just had someone ask me about this the other day. She's paleo, and she's like, my functional doctor's talking to me about the carnivore diet. Like, should I do it?
Oh, God.
And I'm like, well, is the paleo situation working for you? She's like, yes, it did this, it did that, it did this. I'm like, then just, and you've already found your way with that. Just keep doing that. Now that I brought up the carnivore diet, I'll go back to the like conflicting tons of information, but people that might be drawn to the carnivore diet because of the results that people are seeing with it. My argument there is, what were they eating like before? Because most likely it's the removal of the processed foods and the sugar and all the crap. They could probably still throw some vegetables and a few grains in there and they'd be fine.
Get the same results and feel better and not shit your pants.
Yeah, true.
Because that's the thing.
The
You will shit your pants.
Yeah, the X
That's a real thing.
You try it.
Nope, but I know people. We live in Austin. I mean, I know plenty of people. I was like, oh, I'm in carnivore. Yeah.
So when you're seeing all this conflicting stuff and you're getting pulled in all these directions, you're like, I don't know what's right for me. What should I focus on? Like, that's where I would say just like screw the ingredients and the seed oils and all this stuff that's like really confusing to you, and screw all the different specific diets and just go back to the common sense. Just like,
Yeah.
yeah. And stop looking at what every other person is doing and trying to emulate that and make it work for you. So by common sense, it's like, do I need to do carnivore? Do I need to focus on the seed oils? Or could I just do kind of like what you were saying with your clients? I call it crowding out. Like, still eat the things that you enjoy and eat the things you want to eat, but let's add in, like, focus on adding in those whole food sources of protein, some vegetables.
Psychologically, that feels better to me.
Yeah, and naturally,
Then we're taking it away.
Yeah, you're making less room for the bad if you can focus on what you're adding in that you know is good.
I
did not come up with the term crowding.
We're going to give it to you.
I did not come up with
You're
that
the first
term.
person I heard it from. It's you.
I don't
Also,
know where I got it from, but
My ADHD from the top fucking rope people, it's called appeal to nature.
Oh, the
Logical fallacy that somehow, because, you know, the label says, you know, Nature Valley, or because it says wild something, that it is inherently a healthier or better or air
two
quotes
things.
more natural.
or health claims in general on the label. There's definitely healthy foods that have health claims on them too. But then think about, like, does an apple have a health claim
I was
on it?
just about to say that.
Like, does
Should broccoli have a poison label?
it should. It should. Yeah. And on that note, let's just, like, with the vegetable thing, some people maybe can't tolerate certain vegetables or in large amounts. But if you cook your vegetables, if you eat them in smaller amounts, or if you pay attention to the ones that bother you, you can probably still eat some vegetables. Like,
So
fiber's good.
So I have to steam my broccoli, right? That's the way. First of all, I love broccoli. Let's be clear. I don't think it's poisonous. If it is,
Steamed
strike
broccoli.
me dead.
Steamed broccoli is probably the like, it's, you know,
Yeah.
no fun.
Yes, but I mean, I don't steam it to the point where it's fucking mush. You know what I mean?
He's eating it for fuel.
Yeah, yeah. But I found that steaming vegetables for me I can consume more. It's more enjoyable, and then I have far less digestive issues because I am one of those people. If I really load up on, and that's the other thing too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people will say, "Oh God, I have to eat vegetables. Got to eat vegetables now," and they go from not eating vegetables to eating every fucking vegetable in large amounts of it, and they're like, "I'm bloated." It's like, yeah, no shit, dude. You're not an elephant. You're not a farm animal.
Yeah.
You went from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Like you would not apply, and it's just like, therefore vegetables bad. You would not apply that logic, hopefully, to any other aspect of your life. But for some reason, when it comes to food, and particularly something that's, you know, widely agreed on as being healthy as vegetables, why would you apply that there? It's kind of mind-boggling to me.
Well, that's like someone who's not eating meat and then they add meat in and they go like 0 to 100 and it upsets their stomach and they're like, this is why I wasn't eating
Yeah,
meat.
meat's bad.
Like,
Meat's poison.
Let's just take it slow.
It's like, that was a 16-ounce ribeye, Sarah.
To
You've been
Fogo.
vegan for 5 years. You're to Fogo. It's a Brazilian steakhouse. Calm down. Yeah.
Speaking of protein,
Yes.
how important is muscle mass for women?
How important is muscle mass for women?
Yeah.
I think it's super important because we're also more susceptible to bone density changes as we get older. But not to take this down a morbid route, a super high motivator for I think both men and women is if your health certainly like suddenly becomes at risk, like life threatening. I'm talking like the C word. Is just an example. The first thing that you're going to do is like, oh my gosh, I have to overhaul my health. I've got to start working out. I've got to start eating right. I've got to put on muscle. Skeletal muscle mass is one of the leading success factors when it comes to overcoming any chronic illness, especially life-threatening ones. But it can be too late if you wait. So like, why do we feel that motivation when like everything's falling apart? It's so important to do it now. Sorry to like make it super serious, but that's a huge motivator for me personally. Longevity, hormone health, and then just looking better. It's like what gives a woman's and a man's body shape. So
What about the new hot topic now is everyone's forcing protein. What are your thoughts on amounts, best sources, how you get it in throughout your day?
Amounts. So this depends on your size, your activity level, male or female, but a good rule of thumb is about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you're an athlete, it needs to be more.
Yep.
If you're not an athlete and you work out regularly, that's probably good for you. And then if you're just trying to be generally healthy and you're not super active, you can get away with a little bit less. But like if you Google it, survival, they'll tell you is like half of that.
Yeah. Right.
Which is where I think a lot of people are if they're not paying attention. But there's also a lot of people that are really overdoing it because they're hyper focused on that one nutrient and they're getting it at any cost to reach that particular number that they're like really obsessed with. Mm-hmm. So I think it is super important. And that's where maybe some people misunderstand me because I talk about protein a lot. I focus on protein. It's super important. It helps with blood sugar management throughout the day, back to muscle growth, of course. Satiety, like feeling full for longer, but don't just consume it at any cost and don't ignore the other nutrients. Mm-hmm. That's my take on it.
And speaking of muscle mass and protein, supplements. Creatine is now the hot thing.
Have you heard of creatine?
Tim and I have been on creatine for
Have you heard of it?
I was gonna say it's the new hot thing. I feel like it's been for
I feel like now I have friends texting me of like, "Yo, dude, have you heard of creatine? Like, are you?"
I literally
Have you heard of?
It's,
Yeah.
well,
That's funny.
It's left. It's leaked out of because of the wellness space. It has moved from like the fitness world into, and so now I have like clients who are like middle aged. Like I have a middle-aged housewife who's like, she's like, should I be taking creatine? I'm like, first of all, Britt, I told you this 2 years ago. Secondly, yes, you should, why wouldn't you? But yeah, like what, in your profession, phenomenons like this where things just crop up, like, do you just roll your eyes? Like, how do you?
Yeah. It's funny. I'll hear people will ask me about something that, yes, I've been not to be like, I knew about it for so long, but maybe I tried to tell them.
Yeah.
But they're not listening until it gets like put around social media and slapped in their face 100 million times, which is also reason to be skeptical sometimes, which I think is why some people are like, should I be taking creatine? Because like literally everyone.
Yeah, but I heard that it's going to make me gain a bunch of water weight and then I'll also have veins in my neck.
Yeah. Just try.
Wouldn't that be fucking sick?
Actually,
Though. That's like best case scenario. I'm like, where do I find this creatine you speak of?
Yeah, I'm super sensitive to like bloating and water retention, but I never experienced that with creatine personally.
What is it? Why do we need it?
What is it? Why do we need it?
Yeah.
So we have it in our bodies and it occurs naturally in food, but even if you're eating like...
It's already inside you.
Yeah, it's within.
Yeah.
If you're eating like a steak, for example, I believe, don't quote me, and of course it depends on the amount, but it has like 1 to 1.5 grams. And I think the ideal amount to be supplementing is about 5 grams.
Yeah.
So this is going to help with ATP production, adenosine triphosphate. This is energy for your cells and for your muscles. So it not only helps muscles, but also helps with your skin. And there's some studies on cognition as well, because it's doing that for your muscles, but it's doing that for everything. And it can pull some water into the muscles, but from my experience, y'all have probably seen it way more than me. It's not like turning you into a balloon.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it helps you build muscle and it'll help improve your brain function. So if you're out of shape and
don't forget
stupid,
your skin. If you're also ugly.
Speaking of ugly and skin.
That's why I take creatine all the time. Yeah.
Speaking of ugly and skin.
Yeah.
Guys. Skincare routine. What do you got for guys that usually just use bar soap, some water, and call it a day?
Bar of soap.
What would you recommend for 2 men?
Pretty pale.
Very pale, varying lengths of hair, who have hardly ever used a skincare product in their life.
I won't like drop specifics or specific brands because I'm going to stay in my scope of practice. I have
You being an adult, a grown up, a professional.
Yeah. And I will just, one of my best friends is an esthetician and I can't have her like coming for me for saying something wrong and spreading misinformation. But as a man, get an actual face wash instead of a bar of soap, like just bare minimum.
Check.
Okay. And moisturize, kill two birds with one stone, get a moisturizer with SPF in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there chemicals and that kind of stuff we need to look out for?
There are, and this is so challenging, honestly, to know what you're looking for. So I would recommend using an app if it's something that you want to look into and that you care about. I say Yuka, but it might be Yucca. I don't know. YUKA is like a super easy starter one. And then EWG is another app. It's called the Healthy Living app. And there's better ones out there, but I think those are both free. So you can like scan
that.
products and search them on there. And it'll tell you like ingredients and risk level. And you can kind of make your own decision from there on if you're like, man, that's fine. And it'll, if you click ingredients and risk level, it'll usually give you an explanation. So
Zach, you know what my favorite clothing brand is?
Tell me.
It's Legends. I've been wearing it for a long time. From training to lifestyle, Legends has got you covered.
So what kind of gear does Legends have?
You can get shirts, shorts, underwear, socks, tops and bottoms, hoodies, hats, sweats. They've got it all. And they just dropped an entire women's line.
Holy smokes.
I know.
Tim, the great thing about these tees, I found I'm 20% stronger rocking them when I train.
Speaking of 20%, that's how much you save when you go to legends.com and enter in promo code coachemup or click the link below.
Tim, do you take supplements?
As a matter of fact, I do.
What brand do you take?
Legion. Legion has everything you want in supplements and nothing that you don't. So no artificial dyes, sweeteners. It's 100% real, from a whey isolate all the way to their non-stem pre-workout, which I absolutely love. Get the peach flavor. You'll thank me later. There's absolutely no filler. The only things that you're getting are the clinically effective dosages. Use code coachemup for 20% off your first order. You're going to get loyalty points, which is going to reduce the price every time you buy. Go hit up Legion today, code coachemup.
The other day, Tim and I were talking about this, that when we were younger strength coaches, we thought certain things were stupid, and now that's like the majority of our program. Are there some things when you were younger coming up through this that you swore against, thought was dumb, and now you're currently practicing or implementing with you or your clients?
Oh, what a good question.
that is a great question. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I swore, well, I'm not going to say I swore against it, but meat is something that I've changed my mind on because I was a vegetarian for off and on, like pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, one of those three for a course of
Classic
like
dance.
15 years.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. It's a very personal decision. If you have like religious or spiritual beliefs around it, like that's a different story. But
Right.
if it's pure nutrition based, I was having to eat so many vegetables and so many plant-based foods to get to like not even an optimal amount of protein, just like a decent amount of protein and to feel full and satisfied that was a part of figuring out my journey with the bloat and the digestive issues. Not saying vegetables are poisonous, but the amount that I was eating would be difficult for like anybody to digest. So
Any mammal.
any mammal, herbivore.
Yeah. Just say that out there. Yeah.
So throwing in even just like a little, I was gradual with it, but just like I started off with like literally a bite and I was fine.
What was your first meat? Just steak or what?
This is a funny story. Actually. So I was sitting around with some friends and it was probably about 3 a.m. And as my
drinking a little bit, baby.
I was drinking a little bit.
Couple Pinots.
And my husband will say I was running my mouth. That's how he puts it. So we have a very sweet, loving relationship, I swear.
ZAMBITO a little longer.
Exactly. So I was talking with my friends and he was like across the room and I just didn't care if he heard me or not.
Right.
This was before we were engaged. And my friends were like, do you think it's happening soon? Like, is he proposing soon? And I was like, I think it's soon, but not anytime soon. Like if it's within the next 30 days, I'll eat one of my mom's meatballs because my mom makes great Italian
he got
food.
you good.
He proposed like 3 days later.
I like this.
I think
Incredible.
I'm assuming it was already the plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was
It
my
was
first.
like, it's a win-win for him.
So I stood by my
Woman of her
bet
word.
or whatever, my word,
Hell yeah.
and I ate like maybe like 3 bites of the meatball. And it was mostly a mental thing. Like I just felt weird not eating meat for so long and then eating it all of a sudden. And now in pregnancy, it was like in my first trimester, I was super nauseous. The only like protein source that I could tolerate was steak, oddly enough. So that's been working great for me.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Now I probably have steak like maybe not quite once a week, but it's in there.
Nice.
Yeah. So finding that balance for me was, something that I've changed my mind on. And then the other thing I think I changed my mind on was every client that I was getting in the beginning was trying to lose weight because I think that was my focus and that was what I was talking about and what I was thinking about. And that's what I was attracting. And over the years, I've been really pleased to see, probably because of the topics that now I share on social media and that I'm focused on. But people's goal as a whole, I find, is not so much weight loss, but it's more like hormone health or overall health, longevity, energy levels. It's a little like deeper than that.
Yeah.
So
when it's just the one thing, I don't know about if I do one thing, it doesn't matter how good I am at it or how much I enjoy it. If I only am running the same player, kind of focusing on the same thing, I get kind of miserable. Like I like to have some variety, and
like goal wise, if you're
yeah. Is it more exciting for you to be able to help more people on a broader? Yeah.
It's probably a bigger impact, like the holistic approach, like than just like, all right, your scale weight's 10 pounds lighter, but they didn't grow mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
and a lot of times those aesthetic things happen as like a byproduct. But even in the beginning, when people were coming to me wanting to lose weight, I would always make them come up with some why behind that.
Right.
And even if it was just like to feel more confident or whatever, then I would try to focus a little more on that than just like that number on the scale. But you're right. It definitely, like, some variety in the issues that people are coming to me with is more fulfilling to me. I feel like I'm making a bigger difference.
So you, speaking of making a bigger difference and having impact, you've done a fantastic job growing your social, and aesthetically, it's just, looks awesome. Like you've done a, nothing's by accident. I can tell you put a lot of time and effort into it. How long has it taken you to grow your platform? What have you learned along the way? I mean, it's a journey.
Yeah. I think I started that account 8 years ago. And in the beginning, there was no reels, there was no trending audio, there was no stories, it was photos. And my goal was to so I became a health coach. I started a health coaching business. And I was like, I'm just going to use this as a way to maybe like get a couple clients. Over time, social media shifted into this like whole other beast. And I realized like I was thinking super small about it. And so not only could I reach more people and help more people and honestly use it as another stream of income.
Totally.
I'll just say that. Yeah. It's a lot of effort, but it is another stream of income. You can reach a lot more people because instead of just depending on one-on-one coaching, I can do meal plans that people can download. I can do online self-paced programs and help a lot of people that have a similar goal rather than spreading myself so thin trying to coach a bunch of people.
Right. You can scale too. I mean, it makes your life more livable,
Yeah.
Right?
But it took I started it 8 years ago. And I think the first 4 to 5 years was like very minimal to slow growth. And then I tried to just adapt and change with Instagram. Like Reels came out. I tried to adopt them early, like learn the tips and tricks without getting, there was definitely a time where I was over wrapped up in that, I think. And I had to like take a step back and think like, why the hell am I doing this? Like I just need to be genuine in sharing my struggles, what's helped me. And the rest will fall into place rather than focusing on like,
how to get the most engagement or
how to grow my, like when I stopped thinking about growing the followers, then
you get followers.
Right. Because it was just coming from a better place.
Well, the problem is if you just put stuff out there that everyone else is doing, your audience, you might have more followers, but your audience doesn't connect with you.
Right.
So the turnover or the, I guess, relatability to scale and everything's just not there.
Yeah. And I hate the excuse of like, it's saturated. It is saturated. So that's why you've got to find like a different take that you have on things. Talk about something that other people are not talking about. Be more vulnerable, find ways to like, to stand out and be different, because there is a lot of the same thing on social media.
So there's a few things in there that I can respect and appreciate. One is 8 years.
Yeah.
8, Same. I mean, not 8, but years, many years, right? And I so often people reach out to me and ask me like, where do I start? What do I need to do? And it's like, man, you just got to start, and you're going to suck. And it's like, honestly, I'm having like a full circle moment of my own right now as it relates to like trying to unravel my health issues and going to all these what I once considered extremes to find solutions. And really what I wanted was like a magic answer. You know what I mean? And the more I searched for that thing, like the more it became clear, like that's just not the way things work. And my experience with that and growing social has been the same thing, where it's like, there really is no there are shooting stars, there are small examples here and there where somebody makes minimal effort in a short amount of time and bam, their platform's huge. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. The odds of that happening are so unlikely. It's probably going to look like working your ass off and going through these phases and cycles of where you try some things for a while and you fail. And then maybe you lose yourself for a little bit and then you have to come back.
You feel a little embarrassed by some of the things that you put out there, but it's okay.
Absolutely. But you're here now and you're crushing it.
Yeah. And I'm still embarrassed sometimes. Like even by things like a couple months ago, I'm like, why did I do that?
You know what? If you're not doing that though, are you not growing?
But
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're the only one that thinks about that.
And it could have worked. Like, nobody else is going back and
remember 3 months ago when ZAMBITO posted this?
Yeah, it's just like that.
Also, if they are,
they're a loser.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I don't care.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a good question. How do you deal with haters? How do you deal with someone in the because I know what I have a tendency to do. And it's probably not
argue with them.
Oh, I'll roll in my sleeves, dude. I'll make it.
How'd you guess that?
So I used to like see the comment and my heart rate would literally go through the roof, which actually still happens sometimes because I'm like, oh, they're so wrong about whatever. And then I'm like, okay, this person probably like, who is this person?
Yeah.
I mean, and also whatever, everyone's got different opinions. I love when people share a different perspective with me. I love if someone even tells me that I've shared like kind of wrong information, but does it in a respectful way.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. Or like brings their opinion so we can have like a little bit of a discussion and make me think differently. I welcome that. I don't need everyone to like agree and love with everything I'm saying.
Same.
But when someone is like, this fucking person's so stupid, I'm like, whoa, like
thanks for your time.
Yeah. Or they talk like in the like third person, like, she blah, blah, blah. I'm like, she reads all of
She's literally right here, dude.
She is a person. Like, I am real. Yeah. I don't have like a big team.
There's something that happens when you get to a level on socials where, and it really does have to do with how big your page has grown, I've noticed, where you stop
100%.
becoming a human being and start just becoming like a fixture or like a
character.
Yeah. It's not real,
I feel like the sweet spot is like 60,000 and under. Like I hardly ever get any jerks in mine, but like the closer,
Are you on
like
TikTok?
you guys are.
There's a lot of jerks on
TikTok. Yeah, TikTok.
My TikTok sucks.
I actually stopped looking at my TikTok. Like I got a virtual assistant recently and she actually looks at my TikTok comments and sends me ones with like actual questions that I then tell her what to answer them with, because they were giving me, if a post was doing really well, I'm like, I don't want to look at it. Because there could be a lot of people like saying nice things, but there's going to be a lot of people saying really mean things. And I'm going to be human and say that it does still get to me if I am to like see all of those. So for my mental health, I kind of like don't look at them.
Yeah, that's the best policy.
I guess
to
TikTok
be clear.
is
But I
kinda
also
like
want to
that.
engage with people and reply to people if they have legit questions. So like I'm aware of what's going on and I want to reply to people. But if you're rude, I'm going to glaze over your comment as quickly as I possibly can. And I'm most of the time not going to respond to you.
Yeah. It's not like you're going to change anybody's mind.
No.
Yeah.
You can't change it.
Oh, wow, Lauren.
Or I'll block.
Totally misspoke.
Like, I will block.
You will, yeah. Just like
If they've crossed the line.
For sure,
I'm
I
not
get
being
that.
like a wimp about it, but like if they're crossing the line or like aggressively arguing with other people in the comments, then I will block them.
Yeah, get out of here, dude.
beat it.
Beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time.
It's time.
It is. Pew, pew, pew. So honestly, it's kind of crazy. Time has flown. This has been a total blast. We have some segments. People love the segments. I'm saying that. I'm saying that to reinforce. Like literally, everyone's like, "We fucking hate these segments." Okay. Our first segment is called 3 Things. This segment is brought to you by Squat Wedgies, the best squat wedges on the planet. Use code coachemup15 for 15% off at checkout. Squatwedgies.com. All right. What are 3 things that, oh shoot, I don't know if I want to make this just about gut health or, yeah.
Dude,
that makes
you
more
need
sense.
the help.
I do need the help. Okay.
Hypothetically.
Right now, clean slate, all things equal, leaving nuance completely out of the show.
I will try.
What are 3 things a person can, 3 actions, attitudes, things that someone can do to start improving their gut health? What's your big 3?
Okay. My big 3, start eating as many foods in their whole form as you can. I feel like a broken record. And as little processed food as possible. I'm not saying none ever, but as many foods in their whole food form as you can, period. Proteins, vegetables, whatever they are. Which brings me to number 2. You should have a variety in your diet, including fiber. Our gut loves diversity and loves variety. So if you're eating the same exact thing every single day, like even if it's super healthy, you have to switch it up because you're probably going to build some like form of an intolerance or sensitivity. If you're eating hummus every single day, then you're all of a sudden going to think you're like allergic to chickpeas when you're not, for example. That happened to me.
Girl really loves some hummus.
Really love hummus. Yeah, remember, I was a vegetarian. That was
that was the play.
I still like hummus, but and 3, I would say a quality probiotic. I don't usually think like jump to supplements. I would probably prioritize those first 2 things, but a quality probiotic. You want to research the ones that you can ask me if you like want to slide into my DMs. I'll tell you what they are, but ones that survive the trip to the gut.
Soil-based,
spore-based, soil-based. You'll see both terminologies. Do not fall for like, this has however many billion trillion strains. That doesn't really mean anything. You want a variety of strains, but you want particular strains and you want to make sure it actually survives the trip to the gut. So the refrigerated ones people think are better. They're not, because like if it can't survive out of the refrigerator, how's it going to survive inside of your body?
98.6.
Yeah.
It's hot out here, dude.
It's hot out here, dog.
And if I could add a 4th one, stop ignoring your mental health.
Oh yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know,
I should have said
love
that one
that
as
one.
number 1, honestly, but yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Wonderful list.
The next one is brought to you by the Chili's on 45th and Lamar's, still our sponsor.
Yep.
If you go there, tell them the Coach 'em Up podcast sent you. You'll get a free thing of hummus. This next segment is called Rant and Rave.
To be clear, don't ask for hummus there. They don't have hummus,
like,
but
took me out. I used to get a quesadilla explosion salad from. Wait, did you say Chili's?
holy
Yeah, do they still
shit.
have that? I haven't been there
I
in
don't
like
know.
15 years.
Quesadilla explosion? That sounds about right.
So what do they do? Make a quesadilla? cut
I
up, put
bet.
Some lettuce?
Your
Right.
favorite, you say?
Yeah, the dairy after the dairy. No. It's a salad. I used to get it in high school with I think like beans and corn and tortilla strips and all sorts of stuff, and then it has like some quesadillas on the side of the salad, so you get to have quesadillas and salad. It's probably like
power play.
2,000 calories.
yeah,
I'm like,
hell
it's
yeah.
I'm eating a
salad.
salad.
So anyway, that's what I used to get in high school.
I
But
used to get wings, strawberry lemonade, and this was back when you could smoke in
Whoa.
Chili's restaurants. I believe
And a cigarette? You'd
eighth
have a
grade,
cigarette?
I was the broke friend, and they refused to buy food for me, so I would chain smoke cigarettes and get a strawberry
Oh,
lemonade.
you actually would.
This is real.
Oh.
Now this is morbid.
from
I'm
Tennessee.
realizing I'm from Tennessee, so let's just
8th grade.
Yeah,
like
ripping Marble Reds.
heaters.
Yeah, just life was rough.
Marble Red.
Not as rough as life was for that waitress, because she definitely was getting 0 tips from us. We were just the worst people.
14-year-olds.
Yeah.
Horrible.
What's up with the next segment?
Rant and rave. So, social media, nutrition advice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear a little bit of rant, because I know I'm sure you've got some ranting about it. And then what's some of the good things that it's brought to light?
We've talked about the rant. I would say it's like oversimplifying things and glorifying the quick fixes, like carnivore diet, vegetables are poisonous. Like, these are meant to be clickbait. Like, don't like it. Yeah. If someone's using like
Hate from Austin.
what? Yeah. Yes, don't like it. I think that's it. That's all I got to say about the rant. I feel like I've talked a lot about that, and yeah, it's either oversimplifying or overcomplicating. I feel like those are the two main issues in wellness. And I'll add one more. The supplements, and I might be alone in this room on this one, but greens powders are a no for me.
Dumb.
And they are not gonna fix your bloat. Like, all the influencers saying that they drink a shit ton of greens to get rid of their bloat makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So what should I do if I can't do greens powders, Lauren?
Eat the vegetable.
Oh,
Or the fruit. Fuck. Hey, carnivores still eat fruit, I think. So
They do,
yeah.
yeah.
So eat some fruit.
Pretty soon they'll be eating vegetables.
If you're against
Yeah.
vegetables, eat some fruit. The rave, it can be a great, I love raves.
You love it.
It can be a great source of information. You just have to still like use your brain, use your common sense, do your own research. If you see something that sounds really interesting coming from someone that seems to be trustworthy, I would still do a little check on the side, and then use your own, like, form your own opinion. But there can be a lot of great information. There's a lot of things that are getting their light shed on them that weren't before, like gut health, hormone health. Yeah.
100%. Love that. All right. So if you were not in the space you're in the industry you're in, what would you do for work and why?
Interesting. Nothing. No work. I'm just kidding.
Dude, I would love to retire.
So I don't think I'm capable of not working, but whenever, like, you have a day where you don't work and you are off and you're like the day actually flies, you would think, like, what do I do with my time? But the day actually flies by. My brain immediately went to something travel related, which would still kind of be like the content space. But if I could make content about something else, then I feel like being like a travel influencer seems pretty nice.
That's
Travel and food?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. You're right.
When I was young, I thought I wanted to be a news reporter because I have had this weirdly deep voice since I was a child. But now that's quite literally the
I'm gonna
last
put you on the
thing.
spot. Can you give us just a real quick news introduction? Just your best. I can't. Just like that. Welcome to coachemup Channel 5. My name. And then that's it. Let's hear it.
And now,
All right. We're
Transfer
coming
to the
back from
field.
commercial break in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Coachemup Channel 5. This is Lauren Zambido.
Holy fuck!
that's really, that might have to be our new
Oh my
intro.
God. Clip it. We're putting that. We're starting the show with that.
Yeah.
But
What if it all
I want to
happens?
do. That is not what I want to do.
Oh, okay. So never mind.
Don't
Everyone,
watch the news.
call.
The news sucks.
Don't call.
It's bad for your hormones. It's bad for your stress.
Yeah, well, that's also true.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you for doing that and being willing to participate. You made my day.
Our last segment of the day is brought to you by us.
Yeah. The boys.
So we're going to take you, actually, you're going to do this. You're going to walk down. When's the last time you've been to campus?
It's been a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're walking.
Actually, I lied. I went to an event at Free People Movement a few weeks ago. That was like I parked on campus, but whatever. It's been a long time.
So you're at that event.
Okay.
And you forgot you did this, but you did this. You went up, you saw a girl that looks like she's in college, kind of looking around, trying to figure out where her friends are, whatnot. and you see a little bit of you in her, and you reach over, tap her on the shoulder, and give her some unsolicited, solicited advice, what would that be?
Yeah, I kind of touched on this earlier because I've had, like, I don't know if y'all have ever had this weird fantasy of being able to actually talk to your younger self, but I've thought about it. And fuel yourself. Appreciate the body that you have, because you're literally always gonna, like, as you grow older, you're gonna wish it was that body. Always. So appreciate the body you have. Stop binge drinking so much.
Hell yeah, dude. Same.
Yeah. Eat real food and just be generally healthy, and stop analyzing yourself in the mirror, actually. Yeah. Stop picking your body apart before you get into the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. She went home with some good nuggets right there.
She did. Yeah. The binge drinking, very relatable. And also just picking yourself apart. Nothing like standing in front of a mirror naked and being like, look at you.
It's the college experience.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you'll be fine, but maybe just tone it down a little bit.
Not every night.
Reel it in. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for doing this. We've had so much fun.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you? Where can people connect with you?
Yes. Bare Nutrition, BARE. Unfortunately, it's Bare Nutrition Health, because the account with Bare Nutrition has 2 followers and hasn't been active since like 2007.
Have you tried DMing them?
Yes, but they're literally not active. So anyway,
Got it.
Yeah, it's Bare Nutrition Health on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. TikTok. My website is barenutritionhealth.com. So that's how you find me.
All right. Lauren Zambo, thank you so much. This was fucking awesome. To everyone listening, watching, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Peace.